In March of 2020, the Dow Jones plummeted by an astounding 2,997 points. And of course, many people were panicked about the status of their portfolio. Now, while the market has recovered nicely, there are still lingering and valid concerns, especially for those individuals who want a steady income and are looking to retire soon. One of my biggest mantra to all my clients is to never have your eggs in one basket. You always need to diversify away from just holding stocks or just having the majority of your investment exposed to one sector of the market. How can someone who is seeking a monthly income stream diversify their portfolio and still get a decent return, given that the treasury notes are returning less than 1%? One of the best way to get a steady stream of income is by investing in dividend paying stocks. However, instead of just investing in individual stocks, you can do so by investing in exchange traded funds. If you want to learn more about exchange traded funds, check out my video here. You will learn about what they are and how they differ from mutual funds and index fund. In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 ETFs that can diversify your portfolio and provide a relatively decent yield. If you're new to my channel, I am Tanya Taylor. I am the founder and CEO of Grow Your Wealth TV. I have a mission to teach at least 1 million people about growing their wealth. Therefore, my channel covers personal finance topics such as budgeting, repairing your credit, managing your debt, and investing so that you can retire worry-free. And of course, as a CPA, I love to talk about taxes. Please subscribe to my channel and like this video. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can be alerted whenever I post new content. Now, before I get into the ETFs, there are a couple of things that I want to say. These are not recommendations for you to go out and buy. It is very imperative that you perform your own due diligence about the type of investment that's going to work best for your financial situation. You certainly can look at these, add them to your watch list, and do your research to see if they would be applicable for you. So you want to have a good balance whenever you make an investment. Just because a stock or ETF is paying a high dividend, it does not mean that that's the only factor you should consider. For example, if you're going to purchase an ETF that has a 7% dividend yield, but this ETF is losing 30% in value, it's not going to be a worthwhile investment. And that's why you want to make sure that you do your due diligence to determine what's going to be working best for you. What is your risk tolerance in terms of how much you are willing to see, whether it's your ETF or if it's a stock, how much you're willing to see it go down before you get in a panic and sell it at the wrong time. Other things that I want to say about investing in dividend paying stock as a way of having a consistent stream of income. You should know that while companies are required to pay coupon on their bonds, right? And the coupon is the interest that you'd be getting on a monthly basis. And that's what a lot of retirees used to rely on. But now interest rate is so low that they can't rely on it because they'll run out of money. So companies that pay dividends do it as an option. There is nothing that mandates that they have to pay dividends. So what does that mean? It means that if they have lean years, so if the economy is in its free fall, they could decide to stop paying dividends. And if that's what you're relying on, you are going to find that your income is going to shrink because you're not going to get those dividends. Keep that in mind as you structure your retirement portfolio in terms of how you are going to be getting income out of your different retirement vehicles. The reason why many people are moving towards dividend paying stock is the obvious. You're going to run out of money if you try to rely on the bond, unless you're getting into high yield bonds. High yield bonds are the riskier type bonds that will pay a higher interest rate. To support what I just said about companies deciding to not pay dividend if the market's in a free fall, when the market tanked in March and the economy started to compress, Goldman Sachs analysts did a study, and what they reported was that they expect to see at least a 23% cut in dividend payout. What does that mean? It means that companies that would normally pay dividend a lot of them are going to either stop paying dividend for a while until the economy recovers, or they're going to reduce how much they pay for dividends. So you as a retiree who is relying on the dividends, it's going to not be good for you and for the income that you're going to receive. Now let's get into the 5 ETFs that I have looked at that are great in terms of the dividend that they pay and the diversification, because as I always stress, diversification is critical. The first one is the iShares Preferred and Income Securities ETF, ticker symbol PFF. This ETF has a dividend yield of around 5.53% and an expense ratio of 0.46%. If you don't know what the expense ratio is, that's something you need to key in on when you invest in ETF mutual fund or index fund, because that's how much it's going to cost you as a percentage of your investment. Generally, this 0.46 is not considered very high. You could have expense ratios of up to 2% and sometimes even more, depending on mainly mutual fund. Mutual fund tend to have higher cost. So what is it that I like about this ETF? This ETF actually pays preferred shares. And I look at preferred shares more as a hybrid of a stock and a bond. The preferred shares represent ownership in a company, just like the stock. However, preferred shareholders do not have voting rights, which common shareholders do. And in a company's liquidation, the preferred shareholders would be paid before the common shareholders. Hence the name preferred share, because they get preference over the common shareholders. If the preferred shares are convertible, they can later be converted to common stocks or common shares. If you're not sure what a common stock is, it is a share that you purchase in a company. For example, if you hear someone say they're going to purchase Apple stock, they are referring to common stock. Preferred share dividends also tend to be higher, and if a company misses a year, if this is a cumulative preferred share, then you would receive your dividends in a subsequent year. For example, where I talked just now about the Goldman Sachs studies and how companies are cutting dividends. If this were preferred stocks and they had decided not to pay the dividend this year because of what's happening, if it's a cumulative preferred share, then you would get your dividend next year. That's not going to happen for a common stockholder. Once they decide not to pay dividend in the current year, that's it. You're just not going to get that dividend anymore until they resume paying dividend. The bond-like feature is obviously the predictability of the dividend, which is stated in the form of a coupon. So generally what you will hear is like, if you're purchasing a preferred stock, you may hear that you're going to get a 6% preferred stock. And so you're going to get 6% of the par value of that share. For this particular ETF, the sector breakdown is most heavily weighted towards financials, followed by industrials and utility. The second ETF that I wanted to share is the Global X Super Dividend US ETF. And the ticker symbol for that is DIV. That one has a dividend distribution yield of around 6.8%, and the expense ratio is 0.46%. This ETF invests in 50 of the highest dividend yielding equity securities in the United States. Although these investments are companies that pay dividends quarterly, what I love about this ETF is that based on how it invests, it makes a distribution on a monthly basis. And it has made distributions every month for the past 7 years. It does have a track record. And the top holdings as of 12/10 is quite diversified. We see there are holdings spread across consumer, energy, real estate, utilities, and the financial sector, with their biggest holdings being companies like B&G Food, Kraft, and Fortress. The third ETF is a Strategy Shares NASDAQ 7 Handle Index ETF. And the ticker symbol is HNDL. And this has a dividend yield of around 6.69% and an expense ratio of less than 1%. So I wanted to share with you here The holdings of this ETF, what happens is that they invest in other ETF, which makes them even more diversified. These are their top 10 holdings as of September 30th, right here. Top 10 holdings for September 30th. And if you wanted to see how they are broken out by category, you'll see a huge chunk of it is the total bond market that is invested in, and then mortgage backed securities makes up 8.64%, but the lion's share is 35% in the total bond market. Moving on to the next ETF, this one is a Van Eck Vector Fallen Angel High Yield Bond ETF, and the ticker symbol is ANGL. Annually, the dividend yield has been around 4.94%. So let's get into what I mean by high yield bonds. These bonds were originally issued as investment grade bond, but they were downgraded to non-investment grade bonds, which means that they are viewed as riskier investment. Investment grade bonds are bonds receive a certain rating from rating agencies like S&P, Moody's, and Fitch. And you will see things like AAA bond, AA bond, triple B bond. Each of the rating agency has their own letter that they assign to the bond. When they say investment grade bond, those are the bonds that have the highest rating. And once the rating goes down, so let's say it's like a double B or below, then it would be considered to be non investment grade. And that's where they'll call them high yield bonds. Now, what I like about this ETF is that the bonds were initially issued as investment grade bond, but then they were downgraded as non-investment grade. So it's possible that they could make it back up to investment grade when they're reviewed by the rating agencies. If you think about high yield, right? I guess the best way that I would be able to explain it in terms of these bond is think about if you were in school and there's a group of students and some got A and some of the students got B's. And they separated the A students from the B students. The B students would be the non investment grade, and the A students are the investment grade. But within these groups, right, the students are ranked. So you may have a student that's in the B group that was just on the cusp of making it to A, but they never made it to A because their grade was 1 point below. But had they gotten that 1 point, they would be considered A rated. So, what this exchange traded fund does is that it goes into the B student group and it looks at all of the students that have the high B average, and those are the ones that would be picked out. And that's what this exchange traded fund invests in. If you want to know what some of the companies are that this ETF is invested in, you're talking about companies like Sprint Capital, Kraft, and Heinz, to name a few. I do want to caveat though that anyone who decides to invest in this type of ETF, it means that you're willing to take on a little bit more risk. So you want to make sure that you do your due diligence to make sure that you're comfortable with that risk that you're going to be taking on. The last one that I want to talk about is the ProShares S&P 500 Dividend Aristocrat ETF. And the ticker symbol for that is NOBL. This ETF follows the S&P 500 Dividend Aristocrats, which invest in companies with the longest track record of dividend growth. Many of these companies have been paying dividends for over 25 years consecutively. Now, here is a breakdown of the top 10 companies that this fund is invested in, and you will recognize some of these names. Target is a very well recognized name. Lowe's is a recognized name. Sherwin Williams, I think a lot of people know as well. And even Archer Daniel Midland, which is a conglomerate which sells a lot of different type of products. So these are the top 10 companies, and they make up a total of 17.35% of the ETF. And they also break them down by sectors. So 25% of their investment is in the industrial sector, and then 20% is in consumer staples. Now, that's important because when you think about a recession, what are some of the areas that will usually be less hard hit? And consumer staples is definitely one of the areas. Now, in terms of the expense ratio, it's also relatively low. It's 0.35%. And the dividend yield, however, was around 2%. So it's not that remarkable, but it's still better than what the bonds are offering. So, what's the bottom line here? I have shared with you 5 ETFs that's going to be able to allow you to have a monthly income stream that would be better than investing in just bond. When you invest in ETF, however, you want to make sure that you're still diversified and you want to make sure that you do your due diligence. Now, when I say, you might be saying, well, the ETF is already diversified. So, what do you mean by that? As we went through these different ETFs, right? Let's say two of them were heavily invested in financials. Then you probably would not want to invest in both of these ETFs because you would have too much overall exposure to financials or to any other sector. That's what I mean. And that's why it's so important that you don't just take these 5 ETFs and say, I'm going to invest in them, or don't just take anything that anyone tells you and not do your own due diligence. You've got to do your due diligence and make sure that you're comfortable. Make sure that when you look at your portfolio, you're not too exposed in any one particular area, because that's a recipe for disaster, especially if you are over a certain age and you're looking to have this as a monthly income stream in your retirement. Let me know if you found this information helpful. Let me know which one of the ETF or ETFs you're planning to research to include in your portfolio, or how this has spurred you to research other ETFs, because there are hundreds of ETFs out there that you can start researching. And I also do hope that this helped you to start thinking about how you can still structure your portfolio so that you can have predictable monthly income flow. I teach individuals how to grow their wealth by meeting them exactly where they are on their journey. So if you are someone who have bad credit or need to manage your debt or manage your finances, or you just want to invest and protect your wealth, feel free to reach out to me. All of my contact information is in the link below. I would love to talk to you to learn more about what your goals are. I do offer personalized financial freedom coaching. And it's not going to be trying to fit you into a box. It's not going to be telling you that you must go this route because this is the only route, because everybody's situation is different. Also, hop over to my Facebook community and join us there. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you can know when I post new content. And lastly, share my videos so that others like you can continue to see it, like, and comment as well.